All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time stopping by, please consider subscribing. We truly appreciate the support. The big Tesla update is here. The holiday update, the end of year update is here. But you probably heard about it already, all the features, all the leaks, all the good stuff like that. And I want to talk about that, but I also want to talk about the thing that everyone's not really talking too much about, and that is the fact that we're doing a code convergence. And that's why the title of this video says convergence, is a code convergence. It's basically taking the early access beta users and putting them on the same software branch, if you will, as everybody else, allowing everyone to get the features while still retaining some of the specialty features that certain employees and certain select Tesla owners get. So we're going to talk about that. And then we're also going to talk about, again, the features that have come in this release and the different versions you might have gotten. All right. So first and foremost, let's talk about the convergence and what that means. So to give you a little bit of history, Tesla typically operates their software with a main branch, a main build, which you typically see with a year number and some kind of number after it. In this instance, it's 2023 4430 dot something. It could be 30.1, 30.2, 30.3, or 30.4, depending on your build, your configuration, and your location. Okay. And what usually happens is this build number, 2023 dot something, is usually going to represent the majority of the fleet. Everybody in the fleet gets the same features and same functionality. However, select employees and select owners who are part of the early access program, they get a different branch that's typically lower than this. So their build may say 2023.30 as opposed to 2023.44. So that they're operating on a branch, testing features that not everyone has access to, and yet and still they also don't get the new features that everyone on the main branch gets. And they've operated like this for quite a while, several years, 6 or more years like this, okay? And just in the recent years of releasing FSD beta, have they expanded that early access program to more users, more owners than ever before. Okay, so that's where you see a lot of YouTubers having access to FSD beta and all the good features that it has and all that cool stuff. And that's also the reason why everybody else who buys FSD beta, the feature, are typically on 11.4.4 because they're on a 2023 44 or 40 something branch, which is the main branch that everyone's on. And that's why they cannot get the early access builds, which are at an earlier number. So it's not 44 or 40 something, it's 30 something. Okay. So this build represents a unification of that, where everybody gets this 2023 44.30 build, and then you get some derivative of that in a point release, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, etc. Okay. And that's going to be the distinguishing factor. That means that everybody gets the same thing, everybody gets the same features, and everybody presumably gets the same build of FSD beta in this instance. So for this particular build, everyone's getting 11.4.9, which is a huge step up. People in the comments have been asking about this for a while when we're going to get the latest. And it's going to be a huge step up from 11.4.4, right? So everybody in the early access program, employees and select owners, we've been getting iterations of 11.4.6, 11.4.7, 11.4.8, 11.4.8.1, and now 11.4.9, where everybody else was stuck on 11.4.4 or even 11.3.8, depending on your build and your configuration. All right, so this hopefully brings this to everybody. Probably the early cars, the MCU1 cars, the one camera cars probably are not going to get the latest and greatest just because Tesla has abandoned that approach of using just a single camera to navigate full self-driving, and it doesn't have the capabilities to run what they're running in terms of AI and what they're running in terms of the neural nets and such. So there's some hardware limitations on those cars, so they're probably not going to get the latest and greatest. All right, so that's the FSD beta portion of this, right? But everybody else should get 11.4.9 and be running the latest FSD beta for this build, 2023 4430.x, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Okay, so this is really big because this could mark and could signify that Tesla is going to be doing this going forward, meaning keeping everybody on the same branch and just using a point release to signify early access testing or alternate testing other than the main branch. Right, so select users, select owners, select employees can work off of that point release branch versus a major release branch, a major branch. That's different than the the branch that everyone else is running on. Okay. But for all intents and purposes, just to simplify it, for the purposes of giving everybody the holiday release, everybody the end of year release, they converged the branches, brought them into one, and now we have a unified branch of early access plus the main branch users running the latest build of Tesla's software on their cars. All right, and giving them, where applicable, FSD beta 11.4.9. All right, so that's the latest and greatest. We're going to do a separate video for 11.4.9, the testing of it and all that good stuff. But now we're just going to delve into the software. So for this particular release, depending on your car configuration, depending on your location, you're going to get different things. But this is what we got. Okay, so this is a hardware 3 car. This isn't a hardware 4 car. This is our Model X, not our Model S. We have 2 hardware 3 cars, no hardware 4 cars. If you have a hardware 4 car, meaning you have no ultrasonic sensors and your setup is strictly camera-based, vision-based, you're going to get the high fidelity park assist, and that's going to basically use the terrain around you, use the cameras around you to form and simulate what the car sees, similar to the visualization that you might see in the instrument panel or on the touchscreen if you have a 3 and a Y, similar to that, but then showing you just high fidelity versions of that. Now, a lot of people are getting excited about it. A lot of people are talking about it like it's groundbreaking. They've actually been using this for quite a while. When Summon was first introduced, and that's supposed to be quote unquote smart Summon, that is, they introduced something like that. On the actual app itself, it would visualize the terrain around you and draw a sketch of what the terrain around you looks like based on the camera's vision-based sensors to be able to see what's around you. Not necessarily the sensors, but the actual cameras themselves. So they've actually done this a long, long time ago. I did a video when we first did Smart Summon coming out of a garage. I showed you what that would look like. And I believe that was predominantly camera and vision based, where it sketched the environment around you to show you what's there. Okay, so not as groundbreaking as they make it seem to be, or maybe some people know about, but it has been around for a while, but now it's just enhanced to the next level using Tesla's latest and greatest technology and their latest and greatest hardware for cameras and such, as well as their algorithms and their code. All right, so this is going to help users navigate terrain better, trying to make it better than a 360 camera. The reason why Tesla can't do 360 cameras or doesn't do 360 cameras because the positioning of their cameras does not allow for them to show that top-down angle the way that other cars are doing. Other cars' cameras are purpose-built, positioned for 360 camera, 360 view. Tesla's cameras are positioned for autopilot and full self-driving, and therefore it doesn't have that same level of angle that's needed to get that top-down view. However, they do a great job of visualizing it in the visualization with or without vision only. Okay, so that's another feature that we don't have, so I'm not going to talk too much about that, but that's a feature that's available for those who have hardware 4. And when you get that feature, you'll be able to test it out and see how accurate it is and how precise it is. All right, so now onto this update. First up, we got Apple Podcasts, which is great for people with Apple Podcasts who wanted to listen to it. They now have that feature built in, which is great. We have Castle Doombad, a new game that's available in the arcade, also pretty cool. Tesla Arcade updates, and there's a bunch of different updates here, one of which is adding the Cybertruck to Beach Buggy, which is pretty cool to see. Would love to have that black one in there as well. And the PS4, PS5, and Xbox controllers feel more immersed in action with the rumble effect. So they're adding the rumble effect being transferred over to those Xbox, PS4, and PS5 controllers, which is great. Okay. And it says availability varies by model and location, as always. All right, so here's one that is pretty relevant to us, is being able to play games on the rear screen. This is, again, Tesla bringing features to market that it promised however many years later, right? So for us, it's about 2.5 years later from when our Model S Plaid was released. We had these features marketed, and now we have a scenario where they're bringing them to market now. So we couldn't play games on the rear screen before. We can play games on the rear screen now. So this is really, really cool, especially for people who have kids or people who like to take long trips with a bunch of people in the car. This is pretty cool for them. In addition to that, the major feature that we've been asking for forever, and we're really excited about, is now having rear passenger headphones. This is the ability for you to be able to pair up to 2 sets of wireless Bluetooth headphones to the rear screen. Thank you, Tesla, for delivering this 2.5 years later, but you're delivering it. This was something that was heavily marketed. One of the reasons why we upgraded to the new car in terms of the Plaid when it first came out, is just being able to have rear entertainment for the kids so they can do their own thing without having to bring a bunch of extra devices already built into the car. But it didn't have the ability to pair wireless headphones. Instead, what it had was whatever you activate the rear screen for watching movies or whatever, it would play out of all the speakers, okay? Which was bad. Basically hearing the kids show for hours and hours on end on a long drive. They tried to mitigate that by then adding adaptive sound where they move, when you turn the rear screen, they move the speakers to just the rear speakers to eliminate the sound from the front, but then the front driver couldn't access any of the sounds that they wanted to hear without totally overriding their system. So that was a good step in the right direction, but this is the ultimate solution. So now you can pair your headphones, your kids' headphones, hopefully you have 2 or less, but you can pair those headphones, and now you have them to the rear display so they can watch in peace and don't have to carry around a tablet or have any other devices available to them. We'll have to worry about charging and plugging it up and all that good stuff. It's built right into the car so they can be able to play games or listen to music, or they can actually watch shows using their own headphones in silence. And the grown-ups or the adults or the drivers, however you want to refer to them, can listen to the car, to the audio of the cabin itself. So that's really, really clutch, really, really awesome. Now, for those that don't know, this icon is how you control your rear screen from the front. So this is basically showing whatever's on the rear screen. This is an emulation of that rear screen right here. Okay, so we can go there, and then we can also go to settings. So here's the settings for the new mode for adding the Bluetooth. Add a new device. You can click on that new device here, and it'll tell you the searching device once you have it in pairing mode, and you can add those devices. All right, next thing we have is the custom lock sound. Really bummed that NHTSA kind of killed off the sort of driving sound, or the sounds that used to have in boombox. Used to be able to have a horn sound, used to be also be able to have a driving sound. When you drive at low speeds, you could have a sound that could play. Really bummed they took that away. But now we're able to now have a custom lock sound, which should be permissible because the car isn't moving, so NHTSA shouldn't have a problem with that. But this is going to be pretty cool. Obviously, you can make it whatever you want. You simply have to name it Lock Chime Wave, and then you can put whatever sound you want. You want to go to Toy Box, you want to go to Boombox, and now you have that custom lock sound. And it got a bunch of different sounds available to you once you turn it on. Goat, so you can't really hear it because it's outside and we're in a windy place, but I thought it was going to be the Thor goats, which would have been better than the regular goat. But you have multiple different options here. And then once you're done, obviously you can select it. And then when your car locks, if you choose the lock sound, when you go to locks and you go to lock sound confirmation, this is what you want to select in order to be able to hear that. If you have this off, it's just going to lock quietly. You're not going to hear the sound, but you have to have this on first in order to hear that sound. All right, so obviously you know what we're going to choose for our lock sound. No brainer there. All right, so next we have automatic 911 calls. This is great. Again, this is, I believe this is US only for this one. And it'll call the relevant numbers potentially, depending on the different regions you're in. But again, I'll defer that to people who live in those regions. From my understanding, it's only in the US right now, but your VIA will call 911 emergency line if an accident triggers the airbag. So if you're in an accident and you're disoriented and you're maybe unconscious, this will automatically call the authorities to alert them to your presence. It'll give a countdown to allow you to cancel it if that's not the case. But if it doesn't cancel, it'll call the authorities and alert them to your presence and your issue and try to get some emergency services to you as quickly as possible. So that's really good. Next one is speed route on camera. This is really, really big because Tesla being able to build anything built into the car using software is a huge, huge win for everybody. No need to get a third-party device, a radar or speed detector or anything like that. No need to use additional apps like Waze and things like that. If you can build it into the car, it makes it that much easier and more seamless to use, and it's already built in. So I thought that was pretty cool. So this is going to show cameras. It's going to show speed cameras, stop signs, and traffic lights. I'll just navigate somewhere really quickly. I'll just navigate to Baltimore and show you what that looks like. So right now it's going to throw some stops in, it's going to do some calculations, and then it should also show us the speed cameras on route. However, to note, there is a little bit of a radius in which it works. It doesn't show me all the speed cameras on the way down here. If I was to zoom in, however far I have to go, it doesn't show you all of them. What it does show you, it shows you everything in the immediate vicinity of where you are right now. So I'll minimize this so you can see. So right here, I see a stop sign right here. I see a traffic light right here, a traffic light right there, so on and so forth. And I think that it's limited to a certain radius. And as you move, that radius moves with you, and it'll start to show you all the relevant close by items of stop signs, traffic lights, and speed cameras. So I'm not sure what the draw distance is, but hopefully it's soon enough for you not to be caught by a speed camera. I chose Baltimore because Baltimore has lots of speed cameras. DC area, the DMV area in general, has lots of speed cameras in this area. So it's good to know that driving into those areas, which we do quite frequently, to know where the speed cameras are going to be and be able to slow down accordingly. We usually use Autopilot anyway, but sometimes Autopilot doesn't change the speed fast enough and you can come into a situation. So let's see what happens when we take this out for more of a thorough deep dive. All right. In addition to that feature, there's also a feature, I'm getting ahead of myself, of being able to change alternate routes. Prior to this update, you could only change the alternate route only when you first start a trip. So if you wanted to say, hey, I want to go this way instead of this way, or this way instead of that way, you would have to start the trip up again, cancel it, start it over again to be able to select it. Now it's allowing you to adapt this and use this all the time as you drive and choose the route that's best for you, which is great. I want to go this way, I want to go that way as I'm driving, as opposed to making it available only at the start of the trips, which is great. Next up is Trip Planner on mobile. Nothing big here, just the fact that you have the Trip Planner on the mobile where you can remove charging destination stops, you can reorder your trip the way you want to do it, and you can pre-plan prior to getting in the car. So if you're at work or if you're at home and you're packing some things up, but you want to go ahead and get the trip started and sent to your car and ready to go, this is also good if you have a sort of a road partner or spouse or whatever the case may be, where you're driving together and you have the screen more maybe oriented towards you. This is an S and X problem, but you have the screen oriented towards you. You want to make an adjustment to the trip, but you're busy driving. Your partner, if they have access to the vehicle, can go ahead and put the trip planner in that way, and then they can make the trip how they want it to be and then send it to the car that way, as opposed to them having to turn the screen their way and use the screen and have you not be able to see the screen. So that's also a good use case for this. All right. And as I mentioned before, alternate routes while driving, that's another one that's there. We already talked about that. The next thing is talking about more cameras in live view. So this is giving you access to now the Bpillar cameras, right? So your vehicle surroundings from Tesla app will now have access to left and right pillar cameras. On the vehicle touchscreen, go to Control, Save to Live View, and you can see that stream. And I think we already did that before. I think the difference here is that now it's available in the app. We've also shown up the Bpillar cameras before, but now it's available in the app. So when you open the app, you can now see to the left and right of you using the Bpillar cameras, which is great. And you've got left door pillar, and then you've got right door pillar available to you to see who's to the left and right of you in those views, which is also great. The one thing that doesn't happen in this instance is that we don't get those cameras as a part of Sentry or dash cam mode, which is really a bit of a bummer for us, because those are the cameras you typically want to see when someone's passing by, especially if you park rear end versus parking head end, where the cameras are oriented better to catch some of the stuff that's going on. So if you parked rear end with the back of your car into the spot, and you have cars to the left and right of you parked head in, sometimes you could miss some things with the way that the cameras are positioned. So if you had access to those Bpillar cameras, that would be really useful for being able to capture more things that happen when the car is in park or is in Sentry mode. Okay, so hopefully Tesla can add that over time. But you do have access to the app. If you want to take a peek at your car at a moment's notice, you can take a peek at the app and see it there. All right, this one is another one, automatic blind spot cameras. Very interesting feature here. We recommended this how many moons ago of the instrument cluster that's currently present for Autopilot. It has the ability to highlight the entire instrument cluster or parts of the instrument cluster with the new interface that they have out now, the new indicator where it's just the top of the instrument cluster that highlights. Let's leverage some of that technology and start to overlay to the left and right wherever it may be unsafe to change lanes. Obviously, when you're just putting in your turn signal, a flash of red to let them know that it's not safe to change lanes. That's another way that they can implement something pretty cool, relatively easy. Again, all based within the confines of what they already have to make it happen. Good to see that Tesla finally implemented it pretty much exactly the way we said it. Only difference is we said put it on the instrument panel for the S and X as opposed to the screen, but it's the same concept, a little glowing red gradient coming into the screen when your camera, if there's someone in your blind spot. Pretty cool. At a glance, it's sometimes hard to see depending on where you are. Nighttime is really easy to see, but during the daytime, depending on how bright the sun is, it can be a little bit difficult to see. But good to see them using ingenuity and using some tips from some helpful owners to help get them this feature and help drivers on the road. Next one is a light show, new light show. Nothing to go into crazy about that, just a new show. You can always make your own shows. If you don't know how to do that, let me know in the comments. I can send you a link. And then the big one here, in addition to, in conjunction with the over-the-air recall, is the Autopilot Suspension. So this is a suspension that Tesla will impose if their driver monitoring system, the cameras and everything that are looking at you, determine that you're misusing the system or not paying attention when it's on, it'll suspend you. This was previously reserved just for full self-driving beta, both early access and the wide release of full self-driving beta as a suspension. But now they're extending that to the autopilot feature itself. So now that everybody who has autopilot, whoever misuses it, they're going to be locked out of their car, or locked out of the feature, for 7 days. 7 days, so a week, 1 week it says, and then you'll be able to use the feature again. But if you get five forced autopilot disengagements, or 5 instances of the system recognizing you misusing it, not responding to prompts, not looking at the road, etc., it'll go ahead and kick you out. Now, it's great that Tesla has to do this and keep people on their toes. Would love for them to have done this proactively and avoided a situation like this with NHTSA having to enforce them. And that's effectively what they're doing here. By seeing that over the air recall, so showing that the recall is being satisfied through this update, and that's why it's going out to all vehicles. That's another driver of this code convergence, if you will, to get everybody in the same branch to get this recall off the road, because effectively it affects 2 million vehicles, and obviously it's not a traditional recall, it's a software recall is what they should be calling it and designating it as. And in order to be able to address that, they have to give it to all cars. So that's what everybody has. That's part of the reason for this convergence. Let's hope it lasts beyond this in terms of its ability to do other things. Okay. And then there's minor updates that they have here. Searching on the touchscreen, title playlist shuffle, Apple Music and Spotify shows your profile picture. And when you search the vehicle map for charging locations, you can now filter between 2 charging speeds. Which is kind of interesting, instead of 3. So it went from 3 to 2. It used to be 1, 2, and 3. Now it's just 1 and 3. And they're grouping the high-powered superchargers, basically all superchargers that are 150 or 250 kilowatts, as you see here, versus sort of the standard chargers that are below 150 kilowatts, if you will. Destination chargers is what they call them in there. So you can choose that or that. Just trying to simplify the process. I think level 2 chargers, or the 2 designation here, maybe spawn too many results that maybe presented some confusion for owners. So it just simplifies it. This is basically Tesla superchargers and Tesla destination chargers, or Tesla accessible destination chargers, right? You're only getting 13, 14, 10, 8 kilowatt max, basically what you have in your garage or at your house if you have a home charger, okay? All right, so that's that in terms of the release notes, in terms of what we got. Again, if you're hardware forward, you've got the high fidelity park assist in terms of the vision-based system. We talked about that. And then some other small little things, small little details to the UI. Sadly, on our S now, we've lost our lovely sonar chime for the gear shift. We now have the new updated chime, which is a bummer. Sure wish Elon could allow us to, and the Tesla team could allow us to toggle between them and change them to something different, or change them to the older sound if they don't like the newer sound, something like that. But I digress. Oh yes, I forgot to mention the elephant in the room, the beef between Elon and Bob Iger, whereby the Disney Plus icon is hidden for users who have never used or logged into the Disney Plus app on a Tesla. So if you're new to Tesla, you just got a Tesla, you've never used or logged into Disney Plus, when you get this update, this Disney Plus icon will be gone. It'll be missing. It's still available. If you log on to it through the browser, go to the Disney Plus website on the browser and launch it and log in there, it'll launch the app. But if you haven't done so, it won't be there. If you've already logged in before or used it before, it will still be there in the app as you see now. But if for some reason it goes away, log in through the browser, it'll launch the app that way. I'm not sure if the icon will come back or not, but that's a little bit of a Easter egg there. But that was a lot. That was a lot to cover. We're also going to talk about FSD Beta 11.4.9 in a separate video. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know if there's something I missed in this video. Let me know if there's something that that you saw in terms of a hidden update that was unknown, that's in the menu somewhere that you've seen that wasn't talked about. Leave it in the comments, share with the rest of the community. And until the next time, enjoy your day, enjoy your Tesla.